My dad died by suicide when I was 18 months old. In memory of my dad, I'd like to share the importance of raising awareness about mental illness and the grief experienced by those bereaved by suicide. I still carry the profound emotional impact of the loss. I hope to reach a point where I can feel the pain without being overwhelmed by it, accepting its presence. I want to become stronger and feel that I can speak about it, and for society to become more readily accepting of a topic that so desperately needs awareness in order for us to beat it. Losing my dad left a deep scar within me. For my entire life, I have avoided and bottled up my emotions in an attempt to cope with what happened. But I've always carried a heaviness and a pain in my chest that never seems to go away. Over the last year, I felt my distress bubbling up to the surface. I constantly woke up in the middle of the night in a state of panic. I could no longer cope, and my anxiety and sleep deprivation took over, and I began to have gaps in my memory. I realised that I had to deal with my history, mental health, and grief straight on. Perhaps I have always been grieving. When you lose someone to suicide, one of the main questions will inevitably be why. Perhaps I will never know for sure, but I needed to process the complexities of my dad's suicide. My dad was a university lecturer in maths. He was brilliant but sensitive. He decided to embark on additional studies in philosophy. He had always been a high achiever, but struggled with self-doubt. He had to end his studies when his thesis became too vast and unrealistic. He didn't know how to cope with what he felt like was failure. So he went into a rapid downward spiral. He buried his emotions and refused to open up. He became very withdrawn and depressed and sunk further into himself. His lack of readiness to talk to anyone about his mental struggles perpetuated his illness. He was too scared to understand his inner world. I do believe that my dad was affectionate to both me and my brother in his own way while still battling his depression. One morning, he went out for a walk without saying anything. A short while later, my mum took me and my brother Sammy out to find him. We walked our usual route down to the harbour and underneath the bridge that connected the north and south sides of the city. My mum saw an ambulance beneath the bridge and knew what had happened. He was 45 years old.
We put the box down there to remember Daddy. It was Daddy's ashes, Sonny. It was Daddy's ashes. That's right. Well, Daddy went to God. Daddy's gone to God. And God's taking care of Daddy.
God, Daddy didn't fall that way. We can see God.
Well, no, you can't see God, but you can feel God. I mean, God takes care of us and God loves us.
For most of my life, I have felt unable to open up about my experience of my dad's suicide. I believed people didn't want to talk to me about what had happened to my dad. I felt a sense of shame about it, that there was something wrong with me, and that my emotions were a burden to people. But mostly, I thought I wasn't entitled to grieve. I have begun to understand that the silence I am met with when I disclose the fact that my dad died by suicide is due to the stigma surrounding it and people's fear of talking about something that may be potentially upsetting to me. I can't deny that it is a sensitive subject for me, but I think it's important to remember that as long as we avoid talking about uncomfortable topics and avoid our emotions, we are perpetuating the stigma and emotional burden on those who have to carry this forbidden topic around with them. So many times I've wanted to tell people about what happened, or I've wished that people would ask me, to alleviate my hesitancy about opening up. But I'm met with awkwardness, embarrassment, and avoidance. Suicide is never an easy topic, regardless of whether you've been directly impacted by it or not. The first question, if any, that people tend to ask me is, do you remember him? For a long time, I felt I had no right to grieve because I had no vivid memory of him. Not feeling entitled to grieve was perpetuated by society and the stigma surrounding suicide. Grief isn't dependent on recalling specific memories. It's about the deep loss of a connection that impacts more than just the conscious mind. The body remembers distress even if the mind doesn't. I had a bond with him until the age of 18 months. The traumatic loss of that bond left a huge emotional void. I very clearly remember the turmoil I felt as a result of his absence and the loss of him. I missed him. I was deeply hurt. I always felt I had a deep wound in my chest and stomach. I grieved the future we could have had and that I would never know what it's like to have a dad. Through watching home videos of myself, I discovered that I had remembered and asked for him even months after he died. I felt an even greater sense of loss, that I had lost any visual memories of him.
Daddy!
Yes, Cherry, that was Daddy's mug. You're quite right.
That's Daddy's mug.
That was Daddy's, yes. Want to? Yes, if you remember very well. Sure.
Daddy. That's Daddy's mug. That's Daddy's mug.
It is certainly that.
Baby on the...
That was the one that Daddy used quite a lot. We had a cup of tea. But now Daddy's gone to God. Yes,
Daddy, oh my God.
Daddy's gone to God.
Oh no! Daddy.
Yes. God's taking care of Daddy. Yes.
God's taking care of Daddy.
Yes, taking care of him.
My mum also kept a diary of my memories in the year following my dad's death. Cherry's Memories, 1998. March 1998. Cherry and Sammy go through a tearful stage. I suppose they're registering that Daddy's not here anymore. June 1998. Cherry talks about her daddy a lot, seemingly more and more as time goes on, which is probably a good thing so we can keep his memory alive. Her eyes are as big as ever. August 1998. Unprompted, Cherry says, "Daddy dead." She often asks, "Where's my daddy?" and loves to see pictures of her daddy. December 1998. I went out for a walk with the kids on the toboggan. There's still snow. Unfortunately, Cherry gets cold and the distance is too far for her to walk, so she can't keep warm. Coming home through the forest, she cries, "I want my daddy." I hug her tightly and tell her to cry as much as she wants to. I find this grief heart-wrenching. Poor little lamb, and I cry with her. When she's a bit more settled, I hoist her up on my shoulders and hurry home as fast as possible with Sammy on the toboggan. I still, to this day, want, need, and miss him as much as I did 28 years ago. This unresolved trauma has deeply impacted me throughout my life. The ways I've coped, how I form relationships, and how I am processing grief today. My dad's suicide impacted my self-worth and fostered a deep, subconscious fear of abandonment and rejection in me. I was abandoned before I was even fully conscious. I've often asked myself, why did he leave me? Was I not good enough for him? Why did he not want to give me a chance to prove that I was worth living for? Why did he not want to get to know me? My emotional void was comforted by food throughout my childhood, and as a result, I was always extremely overweight, anxious, and insecure. I had disordered eating throughout my teens. My relationship with food has never fully been resolved. As I got older, I coped by overachieving academically and professionally, and by putting other people's needs before my own, in the hope that I would receive the safety and love I so desperately needed. In reality, these forms of external validation are unsustainable and result in burnout. Seeking external validation stems from the deep need for emotional security and connection, rather than seeking attention for admiration. I long for emotional connection, a sense of safety and guidance from a parental figure. I crave a spontaneous hug, someone to hold me and tell me that they're proud of me, that I'm enough, that I'm worthy of love, and that I don't have to try and prove myself anymore. But considering I spent all my childhood figuring things out for myself, perhaps it isn't so surprising that I started to seek reassurance from other people. I still crave to experience a childhood that was stripped away from me at such a young age. I'm learning not to seek external validation, but instead embrace self-acceptance and work on my confidence, developing healthier coping mechanisms and connections. I can recognise that I've followed similar patterns to my dad, but there are significant differences, particularly in my proactivity, my ability to find joy in life, my enthusiasm, and above all, my resilience. I'm surrounded by close friends who've become my family, with people who uplift me, and I hope I bring a positive impact to their lives as well. The people I love reciprocate the unconditional affection and emotional depth I give them. Escapism has become a positive force for me. I'm able to experience an emotional release through my deep love of nature and the outdoors, spending time with friends and enjoying fun days out. I'm beginning to engage in healthy self-care, learning how to truly relax and recharge, something I neglected for years. Through my reflection, I hope to encourage an open dialogue about mental health, and hope I can make a positive impact on anyone else that has experienced a loss, which might allow them to open up.